Yes. If you're a parent, this scene is probably pretty familiar. It's that silent battle happening in living rooms everywhere. The teenager and their smartphone. The whole topic can feel just huge, but in this explainer, we're going to cut through all that noise and really break it down.
So take a look at this number, 114 days. What on earth is that? Well, get this. That's how much time the average kid between the ages of 8 and 18 spends looking at a screen for entertainment every single year. And that's not for school, that's just for fun. It adds up to nearly a third of their entire year living in a digital world.
So that really brings us to the two most important questions, right? First, how in the world did we get here? And maybe more importantly, what can we actually do about it? We're going to dig into the science, the psychology, and some really practical steps you can take.
Okay, first things first, let's talk about the stakes. We really need to understand why this is so much more than just a simple distraction. This is the digital dilemma.
And the risks here go way beyond kids just wasting time. The research is starting to show some really clear links between all this screen time and some serious mental health challenges. Things like anxiety, depression, and this deep feeling of being socially isolated. That is a heavy list. And this isn't just a problem for the kids, right? It affects the entire family. A staggering 85% of parents say that arguing about technology is a major source of conflict at home. That just shows you how deep this issue has woven itself into our family lives.
So why is it so hard for them to just put the phone down? It's not just a lack of willpower. The real answer is in their biology. So let's take a look inside the hooked teen brain.
So it all starts with this chemical you've probably heard of, dopamine. But here's the thing, we all kind of have it wrong. We call it the pleasure chemical, but it's really the chemical of anticipation. It's what fires up in your brain and says, hey, something interesting might be about to happen. And that feeling creates that powerful, compulsive urge to check your phone.
And this creates this incredibly powerful feedback loop. Think about it. The phone buzzes. Just that sound triggers a hit of that anticipation dopamine. That creates the compulsion, that feeling that you have to check. You see the like, you see the message, and the whole cycle starts right over again. It is a biological trap.
So why are teens especially vulnerable to this? Well, it's because the part of their brain that handles impulse control, the prefrontal cortex, is basically still under construction. It won't be fully mature until they're around 25. This makes them uniquely vulnerable to that whole dopamine loop. They literally don't have the same biological brakes that adults do.
Social psychologist Jonathan Haidt boils down the consequences of this kind of digital childhood into 4 main harms. First, there's sleep deprivation from all that late-night scrolling. Second, real-world social isolation as online stuff replaces face-to-face time. Third is what he calls attention fragmentation, that feeling of not being able to focus on anything for more than 10 minutes. And finally, just straight-up addiction.
So knowing how vulnerable their brains are, the environment at home becomes absolutely critical. And that means we have to take a look at our own role in all this. The truth is, parents can sometimes make the problem worse without even realizing it. Let's dig into the unintentional parental trap.
Take a look at this number, 56%. That is the percentage of parents who admit to being distracted by their own phones when their children are trying to talk to them. It's a pretty powerful statistic, and it shows just how much our own habits can model the very behavior we're worried about.
And there's actually a name for this. It's called technoference. When a parent is lost in their device, they create what psychologists call a still face effect. For a child, that lack of response can feel a lot like emotional abandonment. It makes them feel unseen, disconnected, and it can really damage that parent-child bond over time. So how does our own parenting style fit into this whole puzzle? Well, this model maps out 4 different styles based on 2 things. Control, that's the up and down axis, and responsiveness, or warmth, which is the side-to-side one. So up top on the left, you've got authoritarian, high control, low warmth. Bottom left is neglectful, low on both. Bottom right, permissive, high on warmth, but low on control. And then in that top right corner, you have authoritative, high on both control and warmth.
Now here is the key takeaway from the research. One of these styles consistently leads to much better outcomes. It's the authoritative approach. And it works because it gives teens the 2 things they need most in this digital world. The high control provides the firm rules and structure their brains can't provide for themselves yet. And the high warmth builds the trust and communication they need to actually follow those rules and come to you for help. It's not about being a dictator or a friend, it's really about being a guide. Okay,
We've looked at the problem, the science behind it, and even our own role as parents. So now, let's get to the good stuff, the solutions. How can we actually start building healthier digital habits in our homes?
The research points to what really works. The effective strategies are things like setting clear rules, guiding kids toward the good uses of tech, and even just using tech with them. But here's what's really surprising. What doesn't work? Constant criticism and warnings. That approach can actually backfire and make the problem even worse.
So where do you even start? Here are 3 simple but really powerful steps. Number 1, be the role model. Put your own phone down. Our actions speak way louder than our rules. Number 2, create phone-free zones. Reclaim those sacred spaces like the dinner table and bedrooms. And number 3, actively encourage offline activities. Sports, hobbies, art, anything that helps them build an identity that exists beyond a screen.
And you know, this goes beyond just our own homes. There's a bigger societal conversation that's starting to happen. A growing movement, led by experts like Jonathan Haidt, is pushing for some new social norms to protect kids as a whole. The 3 big ideas are no smartphones before age 14, no social media before 16, and making schools completely phone-free zones.
Because ultimately, the goal here isn't just about restricting technology. It's about restoring something that's really precious. As Jonathan Haidt says, the mission is to return that wonderful, fun, exciting childhood that we all had. It's about giving our kids back a world that's bigger, messier, and more real than anything on a screen. And the question for all of us is, what will it take to make that happen?